For exactly 95 episodes, a sitcom about a chaotic Brooklyn remedial classroom ruled 1970s television. But the brutal realities waiting for this cast after the final school bell rang were far darker than any scripted detention. By 2026, that Brooklyn classroom is completely silent. From a devastating 9/11 sacrifice and high-stakes poker millions, to inescapable career prisons and deadly medical curses, Hollywood delivered a reality check that nobody wants to welcome back. The Hollywood escapee living deep in the New Zealand forests is Irene Aranga. She played the shy Mary Johnson. Her acting resume was completely blank before this role. Network executives desperately pushed her into season 4. ABC needed a sudden wedding to save their plummeting ratings. Irene delivered a perfect performance, but fame instantly became a heavy burden. She despised the cameras. She refused every single interview request. Irene erased herself from the screen at her absolute peak. She stepped back to become an anonymous script analyst. Irene silently fixed story flaws for dozens of studio films. Nobody recognized her face anymore. Today, Irene is 75 years old. She relocated to a remote island nation. She lives quietly in the wilderness, protecting native animals. Her greatest script was throwing away stardom for pure freedom. Irene was not the only person to leave Buchanan High for a quiet life. Another charming student chose a similar path of disappearance. He was a successful commercial model. He was a daytime soap opera star. Network executives brought him in just to replace John Travolta. But Stephen Shortridge completely rejected the Hollywood machine. He played Beau de la Barre at age 27. The studio wanted him to copy Vinnie Barbarino. Stephen refused. He forced the writers to create a polite Southern gentleman instead. Then, he walked away from everything. He reached the absolute peak of his career in 1987. Then, he tore up his massive television contracts. He left Los Angeles forever. He moved to the quiet mountains of Idaho. He became a professional impressionist painter. His artwork now sells for tens of thousands of dollars. His private life broke every Hollywood rule. Stephen married his high school sweetheart Kathy in 1976. They are celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary this year. Leaving the spotlight was never a career failure. It was a masterful move to reclaim his own soul. They executed the perfect escapes from Hollywood. But fate held much crueler turns for others. The most recent shock happened just days ago. The loudest troublemaker at Buchanan High hid a massive secret. This is Charles Fleischer. He played the obnoxious student Carvelli at age 25. Audiences only saw a foolish kid on their television screens. Behind the scenes, Charles studied medicine. He spent his free time researching complex quantum physics. He even stood on public stages, teaching multidimensional geometry to live crowds. His biggest success required complete invisibility. Charles voiced the iconic animated Rabbit Roger. He demanded a full rabbit costume from the studio. He wore that suffocating suit for 8 hours every single day. He stood entirely off-camera reading lines. He married Cheryl Strassman in 1977. They remained together after almost 50 years. Today, he is 75 years old. He continues to explore science and perform comedy. Hollywood paid him to act like a fool. They never realized they hired a philosopher. Charles survived the industry with his brilliant mind intact. But the first person to leave Buchanan High forever was their strict vice principal. The most hated man at Buchanan High School hid a completely different reality. This is John Sylvester White. He played Vice Principal Michael Woodman. He was 55 years old when the comedy started. His on-screen bitterness was a complete illusion. He was actually a dedicated theater actor. Off-camera, he became the warmest father figure for the young cast. John spent decades acting in daytime soap operas. He patiently waited for a major television breakthrough. He finally achieved massive fame in his late 50s. Then, pancreatic cancer struck. He enjoyed his television success for less than a single decade. He died in September 1988 at age 68. The cranky television principal was actually the kindest soul on set. His quiet dignity stood far above the comedy script. Mr. Woodman fell to a physical illness, but the horror-striking beautiful Hotsy Totsy felt like a national nightmare. September 11th, 2001 took her fiancé. It took the rest of her life, too. This was Deborah Lee Scott. She was 22 when the comedy started. She played the beautiful student Rosalie Hotsy Totsy. Audiences saw a carefree girl hunting for dates. Her actual film debut was much darker. She played the very first murder victim in the movie Dirty Harry. Deborah Lee eventually left the entertainment industry. She wanted a normal life. She found love far away from Hollywood cameras. She got engaged to John Dennis Levi. He was a Port Authority police officer. Then 9/11 happened. John rushed into the burning World Trade Center. He went inside to save trapped civilians. He died under the rubble. Deborah Lee waited at home for him. He never came back. She never recovered from that morning. She locked herself away. She started drinking heavily. She died of liver cirrhosis in 2005. She was 52 years old. She brought endless laughter to millions of Americans, but she took the grief of an entire nation to her grave. Darkness seemed to swallow Deborah Lee, but another woman from that exact same classroom proved to be an unstoppable survivor. Millions recognize her as the strict mother of Will Smith. This is Vernee Watson Johnson. She played Vernagin Williams at age 26. She started as a simple supporting girlfriend on the comedy show. She refused to stay in the background. She raised 2 children alone as a single working mother. Hollywood usually throws away older actresses. Vernee beat the system. She pivoted her career to become a highly demanded voiceover artist for classic cartoons. She acted in over 200 different productions. She walked onto the Emmy stage in 2018. She was almost 70 years old. She won the Daytime Emmy Award and repeated the exact same victory the very next year. Today, she is 76 years old. She is still actively working on television sets. Hollywood curses did not stand a chance against a woman refusing to quit. Vernee became a television icon, and her on-screen boyfriend also possessed a remarkable survival instinct. The coolest student in the classroom completely escaped the Hollywood curse. This is Lawrence Hilton Jacobs. He played Freddie Boom Boom Washington at age 22. He tasted real success before joining the comedy show. He starred in the hit movie Cooley High. Fame usually destroys young television stars. Lawrence simply refused to crash. He avoided the drug traps. He avoided the public scandals. He built a highly respected acting career instead. He stepped far outside his comedy roots. He played the terrifying father Joe Jackson in a famous television miniseries. He also chased his passion for music. He toured the country as a professional rhythm and blues singer. He even sang backup vocals on a hit Rick James album. He kept working steadily for 5 full decades. He never stopped booking television roles. Today, he is 72 years old. He enjoys a completely healthy and private life. His superpower was treating stardom as a regular job instead of a dangerous lifestyle. Boom Boom Washington successfully dodged every industry trap. But his 2 best friends from that exact same classroom faced a much darker reality. In late January 2012, a sudden emergency triggered a dark year for the cast. This was Robert Hagees. He played the tough student Juan Epstein at age 24. Audiences everywhere loved his forged excuse notes. He always brought fake notes signed by his mother. He seemed completely invincible on our television screens. He found a second career as a teacher after the show ended. He taught acting at his old university in New Jersey. He focused entirely on educating the next generation. Then, his physical heart betrayed him. He suffered a massive heart attack inside his home. Medical teams rushed him to the local hospital. His heart stopped completely upon arrival. He died on January 26, 2012. He was exactly 60 years old. He spent his final decades sharing his artistic wisdom with young students. The toughest kid at Buchanan High could not beat a failing human body. His passing was a sudden shock, but the real nightmare for this cast arrived exactly 7 months later. He trained strictly as a classical theater actor. He performed Shakespeare on stage. He held deep dramatic ambitions. But one single comedy role ruined his career. This was Ron Palillo. He played the nerdy student Arnold Horshack at age 26. Millions of viewers adored his weird laugh. Casting directors refused to offer him serious roles. They only saw a foolish cartoon character. His massive television success became a lifelong prison. He fell into a severe depression. He chain-smoked to handle his extreme anxiety. A sudden heart attack struck him inside his Florida home. His partner Joseph found him unresponsive. He died in August 2012 at age 63. This happened exactly 7 months after Robert Higgies. Hollywood forced a brilliant stage actor to wear a clown mask until his final breath. The curse of 2012 wiped out 2 beloved students. But another famous face from that exact same classroom experienced a completely different kind of Hollywood destiny. The famous television teacher traded scripts for professional poker tables. This is Gabe Kaplan. He played Mr. Kotter at age 30. He based the comedy series on his own teenage years in Brooklyn. He worked as a struggling club comedian before television. He spent years performing in tiny venues across New York. The network finally gave him a show. Then he quit acting completely. He used his sharp mathematical mind to master card games. He entered high-stakes poker tournaments around the globe. He earned millions of dollars, playing against world champions. He even became a popular commentator for national poker broadcasts. Today, he is 81 years old. He enjoys a quiet and wealthy life away from cameras. He proved a smart comedian can easily beat Hollywood at its own game. Mr. Kotter survived the entertainment industry by walking away with all the chips. The teacher walked away a winner, but his most famous student reached a completely different level of global fame. The warmest wife on television hit a series of fierce private battles. This is Marcia Strassman. She played Julie Kotter at age 27. Audiences loved her gentle and supportive on-screen personality. Her real work life was difficult. She fought with the main star over television scripts. She pushed through the frustration to build a massive movie career. She starred in the hit film Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Then she received a grim diagnosis. She battled breast cancer for 7 brutal years. She endured painful treatments far away from the Hollywood cameras. She exhausted every medical option before closing her eyes. She died in October 2014. She was exactly 66 years old. Her body gave up after a long fight, but the gentle television wife possessed the hidden spirit of a fierce warrior. Millions watched him dance into global superstardom. This is John Travolta. He played Vinnie Barbarino at age 21. He became the biggest star of the 1970s. He led massive movies like Grease and Pulp Fiction. He married actress Kelly Preston. They built a quiet family. They seemingly had a perfect life. Then sudden death shattered his world. His 16-year-old son Jet died in 2009. He suffered a fatal seizure during a family vacation. Travolta completely vanished from the public eye. He needed time to mourn his oldest child. Then his wife received a breast cancer diagnosis. She died in 2020 after a secret battle. Today, he is 72 years old. He quietly raises his remaining children. The most famous student achieved ultimate global glory, but he carries a heavy grief through his Hollywood success. The boy who made the world dance spent the next decade learning to grieve in public. The final school bell stopped ringing decades ago for that chaotic Brooklyn classroom. We laughed at their scripted detentions, completely blind to the real battles waiting in their futures. Hollywood demands a frozen illusion of happiness. The industry traps familiar faces inside a permanent joke. forcing real people to carry profound grief, violent illnesses, and stolen dreams far away from the cameras. The heavy price of delivering national comedy is always paid in private. You can always welcome back a beloved television memory, but you can never rescue the human beings trapped inside it. Which specific student from this classroom left the deepest impression on your own youth? Thank you for watching Golden Star Moments. If you enjoy meaningful moments, inspiring stories, and unforgettable highlights, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest videos. Every subscription motivates us to continue creating and sharing even more quality content with you. We look forward to seeing you in our next amazing journey. Golden Star Moments, where every shining moment becomes a lasting memory.